Hello everyone, in this work I use SCAN combined with S-CIELAB color matrix to recover half-toned images. The idea is, studies have shown that human eye has poorer color sensitivities at high spatial frequencies. SCIELAB used pre-processing steps that incorporated such pattern color sensitivity differences. The Euclidean distance between two images processed by SCIELAB is a measure of how differences two images is perceived by human eye. In the images restoring task, this seems to be a potential measure of content loss. Therefore, in the work, I use S-CIELAB to extract a feature map to calculated loss, the content loss of the generator. As a comparison, the baseline model uses the third convolution layer of the third block of the VGG to extract features. The describable texture dataset is a collection of the texture images which is suitable for this work. I use about 4,000 images for training and 500 for validation. The half-toned effect of the original data is generated using open source Python package. The model generator and discriminator structure follow the SRGAN architecture from the original paper. The loss of the discriminator is basically the MSE loss between the predicted and the actual label. The loss of the generator consists of the traditional adversarial loss and the content loss, where the feature maps is extracted from either VGG19 or from S-CIELAB. So from the result, we can see that the content loss of the VGG feature map reduces gradually during training, while it's difficult to make training progress, and the content loss is actually gradually increased when the feature map is extracted by the S-CIELAB. So therefore, I trained other types of models, including using VGG feature map first, and then use S-CIELAB to extract the feature, or feed the images first sequentially with the S-CIELAB and then followed by VGG, or combine the model with both CIELAB and VGG as a content loss. So we see that only the combined models are able to make training progress. So to understand why the CIELAB is not a good feature extractor, I compare the feature maps of the given images. So it turns out that the half-toned patterns are well preserved in S-CIELAB, which means that these patterns are actually important to the human eye. However, we can see that the half-toned images, the patterns actually is not perfectly decoupled from the original images. So on the other hand, we can see that some feature maps extracted from the VGGs actually consist only with the discontinuous dotted features of the half-toned images, while some looks similar to the feature maps of the original images. So these kind of a separation of the half-toned and the continuous toned images into two different channels seems to be a key element for the half-toned images recovering task. So of course, lastly, we see that the half-toned signature are not captured perfectly by the sequential kind of feature extractor, which is not too surprised because we already see that with such a sequential feature extraction scheme, the model is not able to make progress. So to visually see the recovering images, I use 5 images and shown here. The first row is the original images, the second row is the half-toned images, the third one is the baseline model. We can see that the images are much improved, although that when zoomed in, we can still see some dotted structures not well recovered. And the fourth and the fifth rows are actually from the model first trained using the VGG feature and then followed by use S-CIELAB as a feature. So it's interesting to see that the models output two types of different images. So without the gradient clipping, the output images become a monotone color, while the edges are actually still preserved. And with gradient clipping during training, the model becomes a continuous toned images. However, the details are missing and it doesn't look like the original images anymore. With the combined models, with the loss function coming from both VGG and S-CIELAB, the output results looks pretty similar to the baseline model.